Hey, I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, and I'm broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. It looks like a beautiful sunny Saturday looking at the studio. I actually had to close off one of our windows there because the sun was coming right in my eye. But what a beautiful Saturday morning it appears to be out there. Slight breeze. It's going to be a winner. Today. As my mother would say, every day's a miracle, and go out and enjoy it. But, of course, we're here to help you get your Saturday and your weekend started on the show, which I'm sporting my I was feeling the Love is Strong t-shirt. So I know I've worn it before, maybe like 6-7 months ago. But that's what I was feeling today. Love is strong. And so I threw on the t-shirt. Thank you so much for joining us. Grab your coffee or tea or whatever. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do have a nice cup of tea here by Bigelow Tea. Yeah, I should be sponsored by Bigelow, right? Why aren't they sponsoring the show? Been a big week. We have a lot of great stories. The invasion continues. And, of course, your crime is that you're noticing, right? That's your crime. We have, any number of stories. Maura Healey is very upset about her own policies. She's outraged. The Trump administration is calling out safety on the MBTA. And we have some interesting comments from a city councilor here in Boston. Also, my feedback for you from the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which was Thursday evening in downtown Boston. I was going to start with the Sharon Durkin, I'm horrified by riding my bike video. But maybe I'll do that second. I want to start off on a positive note. Here are some great pictures from Scott Hayes, who I was fortunate enough to meet. And I've mentioned his case on this show many, many times. He took some really nice photos. If you want to follow him, Scott Hayes on X. He took some nice photos and very nice. Thank you very much, Scott, for sharing those. I was there, and I made a little video ahead of time, just kind of showing people what the area was like, and then I just posted some photos. Now, there's been a lot made of the knuckleheads that showed up, and they were somewhat of a distraction, for sure, as were the helicopters and the generators that were powering the lights and all of that. But I think there was too much made of the protesters. I took posted a couple of pictures. And then after a while, I was like, this is not why I'm here. And I went back to the vigil and tried to make it about the vigil, and tried to post as many pictures about that. But, I mean, you couldn't help but maybe post a picture or two of these people all in their masks because they're so worried about COVID. But I didn't want the whole event to be overtaken by those knuckleheads. There was a women's book club that was a couple of 100 yards away and some type of kumbaya circle thing. And a friend of mine went over there and asked them what their whole thing was about. And apparently they were also protesting Charlie Kirk. Right, which is disgusting. But at least they had the. Do I want to use the word? I'm not gonna use the word class, but at least they had the decorum to be over there, doing their own thing, expressing their own First Amendment rights. Way the hell over there. As opposed to the terrorist organization that showed up with the pots and pans. And you saw the video of the person I don't even want, you know what they did with the flag. And I have not reposted that only because I don't want to. That's exactly what they want. So yeah, I have not reposted. I rather focus on the positive of the event, if at all possible, with a little bit of truth about these knuckleheads that showed up. But it was really to honor Charlie and support his family, of course, and to bring people together. And it was great to see Mr. Hayes, who I'd never met, plus a bunch of other people who I had met and not met. So that was just great mingling with the crowd, to see so many people that were there. And somebody asked me how many people were there, and I'm really bad at estimating crowds. So I said 2,000, but it could have been more like 2,500 or something like that, 3,000. I'm really bad at crowd estimation, so I wouldn't know. I wanted to give credit to Mr. Keneally. Somebody asked me if Mr. Keneally was there and or if Mr. Shortsleeve was there, and apparently both of them were there. So Mr. Keneally posted a couple of photos. He posted 2 photos on his feed saying he was there. So good for him. And Mr. Shortsleeve made a video while he was there. So last night I attended the Charlie Kirk Vigil in Boston. Attendees gathered peacefully to remember his life and hopefully gave rest in peace, Charlie. So you know what? Why am I reading it when we can just listen to it? So let's try that. Put up the volume. Pop up the volume.
Hello, everybody. This is Brian Shortsleeve coming here from the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Boston. It's a very peaceful night. People are celebrating his life. They're remembering him. They're remembering his children. They're celebrating free speech, and they're doing it in a really peaceful way. So rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Everyone stay peaceful, stay calm, and let's always remember to celebrate the free exchange of ideas. God bless America.
All right, Brian Shortsleeve, way to go. And so good on both of them, Mr. Keneally and Mr. Shortsleeve. They both showed up. I don't know why Mr. Keneally didn't make a video or make a selfie. Maybe he thought, to his credit, maybe he thought that was inappropriate. So I could see it either way. That maybe he didn't want to make it about himself because this event was not about either candidate. This event was about Charlie Kirk. So, but either way, really happy both of them showed up. I think that was a gesture in the right direction. Tom, good morning, Tom. How are you today? Nice meeting you. Oh, well, nice meeting you too. Thank you very much, Tom. The GOP said there were 5,000 attendees. You know what? I did read that. And I think there were more people that came after we crossed the street and said a prayer on the State House steps, and then we moved back over. I think more and more people came as the evening went along. I think that is true. So I am really bad at estimating crowds, so I wouldn't. So I'll go with the GOP number on that of 5,000 people. And thank you very much, Tom. Great to meet you as well. Thank you. Angry Survivor, how's everything in Falmouth? Angry Survivor, crazy down there, isn't it? It's a great day to be down in Falmouth. Now that I think of that's one of my favorite towns. Like, my wife and I might, hey, let's go do something different. And once a year, maybe twice a year, we'll go down and do something fun in Falmouth. What a great town, especially a walk around the downtown area there. Nice place for sure. A lot of nice things in Falmouth. Oh, thank you, Mary, for reposting the stream as well. Both you and Angry Survivor did that. Tom follows up and says that the crowd swelled quickly. Yes, I was a little slightly concerned that one of the gates was open, but all credit to the organizers. Who was it, Mr. Kelly? God, I don't want to get the name wrong. But he did a great job and fantastic job. Spectacular job. What a great evening. And a lot of work went into that event. And they did a great job. One of the gates was open so that, the pathway from the Park Street station but organizers had put kind of like some people there screening the entrance. So I saw one woman make it through with the sign. And then I was sitting on the park bench, kind of like taking it all in. And then about 2 minutes later, a policeman found her and escorted her back off, because there's the protest zone and then there's the vigil zone. And yeah, they're supposed to be apart. So they did try to infiltrate, but you've seen some videos. I just want to say that it was slightly overblown, because I think there are definitely people out there that are kind of going for the clicks and all the things. And if you were there in person, you would have known that they were an annoyance, but they did not stop us from the mission, which was to have a vigil. And I think when we crossed the street and occupied Beacon Street with the consent of the police, then we came together. We had a prayer, and I think that was the most meaningful part of the evening for me. I want to contrast that with the vigil that I attended in Plymouth on Sunday night, which was much smaller, and there was maybe 4 police officers there. We had one knucklehead walk through the crowd. He walked right by me, and he was there. He may have been intoxicated, I'm not sure, but he was there to get some reaction. Fortunately, he was arrested for disorderly conduct, but fortunately, none of us took the bait. That was a smaller gathering without the helicopters and the whole Antifa or anything, just one knucklehead. And I did feel like we had a little bit more peace and quiet to conduct a proper vigil Sunday night in Plymouth. I didn't have anything to do with the organization of that. I'm just saying it was a smaller thing, but it was great to be together with so many of you on Thursday evening. So I'm glad I went to both of them, I guess, is my bottom line. I was reflecting earlier in the day. I had lunch with some folks, and I was reflecting earlier in the day about how over this year I've attended a lot of protests, right? A lot of protests, and last year too, for that matter. But the most unhinged protest I attended, which I think I shared with you this earlier this week, was the Trans-Tifa protest. I kept on saying it was in May, but I looked it up and it was in February. And in February, the Trans-Tifa, those people are nuts, right? And of course, we know that. But this is a quick clip of the Trans-Tifa protest from February down at Faneuil Hall, Quincy Marketplace.
To accept a fascist America. My name is Scott. Feel free to come up and speak to me so we can get more engaged on this.
You can see everyone's in a winter coat. And that's not the most unhinged video that I have from that day. It was just the only one I could find at short notice. But they were by far the absolute nuttiest crowd that I've been to. Most of the other crowds, a lot of big, heavy union presence, but not that event. And I was like, wow, they are completely nuts. And yeah, well, you know how that turned out. Jerry Callahan out this morning bashing Seth Moulton because apparently Seth Moulton voted against, what an asshole, voted against the resolution to honor Charlie Kirk and condemn his murder. Apparently that was a bridge too far for Seth Moulton, according to Jerry Callahan. Even Catherine Clark voted yes. Even Jake Auchincloss voted yes. Even communist Jim McGovern voted yes. But no, not Seth Moulton. Why? I think it's probably because Seth Moulton is going to have a primary, right? Are you afraid of AOC and Mrs. Potato Head? Do you know how spineless and pathetic you look? Well, Jerry, if I had to guess, Seth Moulton is worried about a primary, and that's why he voted no, right? Guessing that's why he voted no. And yeah, he is spineless. Oh, by the way, since we were talking about trans Tifa, Jerry, what do you know? The guy who attempted to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh at his own house has now been renamed Sophie, according to his legal team. Yeah. So he is also a, I said this like a couple months ago. We've got to stop coming up with use the word trans because it kind of, how do I want to say this? Concedes this theory that you can change from man to woman or woman to man. You can't. I mean, even if you have the surgery and everything, your manness, your femaleness it's in every cell of your body. It's not something you can really change. I mean, you can change kind of the organs, I guess. Some, yeah, and there's hit or miss on that. It's very dangerous. But aside from that, like, you can't change. This is something that's literally embedded in every cell of your body. So why we use this word trans? I wish we could come up with some better descriptor of it, because it's not working. It's totally, absolutely not working. Let's see, anything else I wanted to mention about the? Yes, there was one thing I wanted to mention about so tomorrow in Arizona, and I know one person that's going, and I might know a second person in going, but tomorrow at 2:00 in Arizona is the Charlie Kirk Memorial at the Giant Football Stadium where the Cardinals play. And of course, some of you might know my son has been out, but he's back now. But he had been living in Arizona for 2.5, 3 years in Tempe, and but he's no longer there at this time. But I'm not going because I have a long-standing appointment with NASCAR up in New Hampshire tomorrow. So I'm sure I'll be able to watch clips of it, and I'm sure it will be recorded and all that stuff. So I'll be in New Hampshire for the NASCAR race, but of course the vigil is tomorrow at 2:00 in Arizona. If you needed a reminder. In the meantime, let me just double check my comments here. Thank you so much for being with us. Sometimes living in Massachusetts, behind enemy lines here, you get numb to the stupidity. It's not so much the humidity, it's the stupidity. And this clip from Sharon Durkin it's just one of so many that it does sometimes take people from out of state to, like, libs of TikTok, to say this is dumb. And I feel in a way that Massachusetts is a never-ending source of stupidity for libs of TikTok. And here is Sharon Durkin, Boston City Councilor, explaining how she has not been on a bike for 2 months because someone called her fat.
I am afraid that the conversation in the city of Boston has really gotten sort of that we've become a little bit desensitized to the conversation around safety. And I can tell you, I had a recent experience on a bike that has put me off of it.
First off, let me just say, if you're using the phrase "the conversation around" and then fill in the blank, I already know you're a commie. Like, right off the bat, if you're using the phrase "the conversation around," I already know where this is going.
Bike for 2 weeks, for 2 months.
I'm off a bike for 2 months because somebody said something to me.
Was heckled. Someone behind me said, "You better move, you fat B word," behind me while I was biking in an area that did not have a protected bike lane. And
in other words, a regular street.
And I do need to share that there's a lot of trauma that people that are riding on two wheels feel in the city. And as we're reaching summer months, blue bikes, other, people who are riding on their own two-wheeled devices, they do
two-wheeled devices
get heckled. They are impacted by the conversation that we have.
They're victims. Are you on? Bicyclists in Boston are victims. No, they're the most privileged people in the city, right? On a per acre basis, or however you want to factor it, they have more public streets set aside for them than any other population. They get bike lanes, which of course are empty. They're not victims. They're privileged.
At the city council. And I do think it's very important that we realize that in the culture war that is happening around bikes and other infrastructure, we do need to center those that are most vulnerable, pedestrians.
All right. Also a red flag if you're using the phrase, "we need to center," fill in the blank group. That is also a red flag of how much of a commie you are.
Bike users, people on two wheels. And that's something that I have stood behind.
Is there a difference between a bike user and people on two wheels? Are there different? Is there some other type of mode of transportation that is not a bicycle but also uses two wheels?
Ran on being someone who is for safe and accessible streets, and I will continue to do that.
Oh, thank God.
If this is placed in my committee, I think we really need to have a nuanced conversation about who.
And understand a nuanced conversation for somebody like Sharon Durkin, who was heckled while she was riding her bike. A nuanced conversation is a conversation that she wins, right? That's exactly what that means. A nuanced conversation. Or when Bill Clinton back in the day said we need to have an honest conversation about race. Remember that? An honest conversation about race is one in which they win. That's exactly what that means. A nuanced or honest, all of that means the same. It means they win. Newman, this is the second time I'm mentioning you this week. You must be the font of wisdom. I'm embarrassed to be from Massachusetts these days. Yeah. And this says it all in response to Sharon Durkin. Someone called her a name so she cannot ride her bike for 2 months. She is the president of the Words Are Violence Club. Exactly, Newman. Exactly. Which is really the motive behind the whole Charlie Kirk thing, right? Words are violence. Words are violence. I did like Dave Portnoy's take on cancel culture relative to Jimmy Kimmel and the whole thing at large. I'll summarize this really quickly, but Dave was basically saying cancel culture is going back in someone's past, 7, 8, 9, 20 years ago or whatever, and finding something they said on some long time ago, and then bringing that forward and applying today's standard or whatever and trying to get them fired. That's cancel culture. And some of that's right. If you're a movie producer like this, but there's a lot of those things that are worthy of being brought forward, right? You know who I'm talking about. But to paraphrase Dave Portnoy again, when a person says something that a ton of people find offensive, or Dave, I might add, is a complete lie, rude, dumb, in real time, and that person is punished for that, it's not cancel culture. It's consequences for your actions. Who knew Dave Portnoy was going to be the voice of reason and the adult in the room? Yeah, I didn't call that, but definitely, Dave, you're exactly right. right? Cancel culture is finding something way back in your past that you may or may not have done wrong, and then calling, look at, you said this on a podcast in 2011, you criminal, you got to be fired. But getting fired or immediately after you said something that was completely untrue, rude, and offensive, getting fired like 2 days later, that's consequence for your actions. That's exactly what it is. Understand that the martyr over the last 2 weeks for the left, Jimmy Kimmel, is their martyr, right? I saw the stupid U.S. senator from California, the one that got arrested at the Kristi Noem thing about 2 months ago. I think he almost cried at his Capitol press conference the other day. Right? He almost was crying over Jimmy Kimmel, because to him, Jimmy Kimmel is an actual martyr who's equal to or more worthy of martyrdom than Charlie Kirk. That's how disgusting these people are. You know, we started talking about the future of the Democrat Party right after they lost the election. And we saw them go through any number of different efforts to reinvent themselves, including Maura being on Larry O'Donnell. And she was saying things like, we'll absolutely not use ICE. State police will not help ICE, blah, blah, blah. And there was any number of iterations of where the Democrat Party went. I didn't see them going down this line. I mean, if they were already over the cliff, and now it's just like perpetual free fall. It's really bad for them, which is, you know, it's a good thing. Except to here if you're in Massachusetts, because here in Massachusetts, the media is so in love with Democrats. You could kill 2 pipelines and then still go on television and say you're outraged by the price of electricity, and the media is not going to question you. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Take it away, Channel 25.
Maura, Eversource is proposing rate hikes that, when compared to last winter, could increase your energy bill up to 17% per month. Governor Maura Healey tells me that is too expensive. I just saw.
This is the woman that killed 2 pipelines, and now she's saying electric rates are too high. By the way, if you went to ISO New England, you'd find that on any given day, we produce about 55, our electricity comes from natural gas, about 55 to 65% on any given day. She killed 2 pipelines, and now she's complaining that electricity is too expensive.
Eversource's proposal, it's outrageous. People can't.
It's outrageous. Her own policy is outrageous. And not even Fox 25 says, challenges her.
Afford it. It's way too high. So I'm going to be urging the DPU to really scrutinize this proposal.
Really scrutinize?
November 1st, EGMA customers could see a monthly increase of 17% compared to last winter. That's about $48 a month added to your bill. NSTAR customers could see a 13% increase, or around
what's that? It's $500, $600 a year.
$41 more a month. Both EGMA and NSTAR fall under Eversource. William Hinkle with Eversource says bills will now be broken down into 3 categories rather than 2: supply, maintenance and infrastructure, investment, and public benefits.
Customers can anticipate a slight increase on the cost of gas. There's also a larger increase with respect to our investments in our distribution system.
Back in March and April, DPU ordered 5% cuts for residential customers of several gas companies, including Eversource. The governor reacting to the proposed rates Friday morning.
I'm trying to do everything I can to drive down people's energy bills.
I'm trying to do everything I can to raise people's energy bills, is what if she was really telling you the truth. Liar.
Right? I mean, it's why I did the rebates earlier, the discounts earlier. It's why we pushed hard on the utilities. It's why I filed legislation that I hope passes that will lower energy bills here in the state.
I've just never seen anybody that lies like this. She's like, I like literally haven't seen anybody. She's a really good liar because she seems so convinced herself.
Eversource says a big reason for high bills last winter was extremely cold weather compared to previous years, causing customers to use more energy.
Increase in usage was ultimately responsible for about 40% of the total increase customers saw last winter.
Stop heating your house, people. Stop heating your house. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, if you weren't if you weren't how do I want to say this, horrified already by the cost of the green energy transition, it ends up that Mr. Kennedy, failed U.S. Senate candidate Mr. Kennedy, tells us in this video here from Mass Fiscal, he speaks the truth, the quiet part out loud, and he reveals that the real cost of renewable energy is a massive $30 billion transmission build-out that will soon be hitting taxpayers. So, and if you're not aware, like aside from the stupid windmills in the ocean, one of the most expensive things that they have to build, because the energy they're building is, how do I want to say this, undependable. Because the energy they're building is undependable, one of the most expensive things they have to build are these battery storage systems, which are inherently dangerous, right? They're made out of lithium batteries. And one of the controversies about that is not only expense, because it's going to cost $30 billion, which you're going to have to pay for unless somehow we pump the brakes on this stupid net zero mandate that's coming down the pipe. But also, there's the very practicality of the battery system things. Aside from the dangerousness, there's no place to put them. And where Maura Healey wants to put them can be politically difficult. And here's a situation where Maura Healey wants to put one of these things in Duxbury. Now, Duxbury voted for Maura Healey in 2022, about 59% of the vote, just back of an envelope, overwhelmingly, which is weird because you would think Duxbury, very wealthy community, it would vote Republican. No, because as we know now, the Democrat Party is the party of elitists like Duxbury, Hingham, Concord, you know all the things. And now Maura Healey wants to put a battery farm. And we should probably stop calling these things wind farms and battery farms. It's really a large industrial facility. And to make it sound like it's a farm where, cows roam around. It's not a farm. It's an industrial facility. And developers are returning with a proposal to build a 5-megawatt battery storage facility in Duxbury, despite being turned down twice by the town. Residents are not happy. I wonder if at some point, and I believe this is Ken Sweezy's district, I wonder if some point the people in Duxbury will connect the dots, or maybe that's just too emotionally painful for them to figure it out. My hunch is that they won't connect the dots because that would require them to admit that they were wrong. And if it's one thing that we've learned from these people, is that's impossible for them to do. It's impossible for them to do. All credit to Michael Keneally for actually pointing this out. Massachusetts families are staring down a 17% utility rate hike, and it's a direct result of Maura Healey's reckless energy agenda. Agreed. As governor, I'll cut costs by expanding natural gas, investing in nuclear, and putting working families first. Can we stop using the phrase working families? Yeah, I mean, unless you're super rich, we're all probably working, or we should be, right? Or somehow, yeah, okay. So I guess there are some people on both ends, but I just sound like the working family. I don't know. I never liked that phrase. I also never liked the phrase, just while I'm at it, workforce housing. I always felt that was so, man, I can't put my thumb, but It's so degrading. We need workforce housing. Oh, by the way, I have now been fact checked, and the let's give credit where credit is due. Tom, yes, the name of the organizer for Thursday night's event was Brian Foley. Brian Foley, thank you for correcting me. Brian Foley. Somehow I had Kelly in my mind. Kelly Foley, really, very close. But Brian Foley was the gentleman who put the event upon Thursday night. All credit to him for putting on a great event. I'm sure that was a tremendous amount of work. Nice job, Brian Foley. Let's see. Buck says Eversource is already up 100% in a year. How much more? As high as they'll go, Buck, right? Right? As high as they go. This is a religion. This is a religion. The other day, I walked by the King's Chapel in downtown Boston, which is directly across the street from the building where my office is. And it's always fun watching the grift that these folks have. There's no chapel or house of worship that hates themselves more than the congregation at King's Chapel. And so the new grift at King's Chapel is energy justice. And they have all these flags about how you should switch to solar. Unbelievable. Ed says hello. Good morning, Ed. Happy Saturday. How you doing? No shaving today, Ed. Just went straight for the show. Let's see. But great to have you here. Thank you for saying hello. The news lied about Kyle Kulata and the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Almost 70 arrests, they said too. I did not hear that. Is that true? Gee, I'm not aware of that. That's news to me. I'll just put it that way. I know they arrested the knucklehead with the PA system. I know that happened, but I don't know. Yeah, if you have a link to that, I'd be interested or something. Way to go, Mr. Foley. Really, you did a great job, for sure. Mr. Brian Foley, who organized the event. Good job. Mary says, I predict they will become another protected class. There's no doubt about it. Some data here about election. Massachusetts lost 87,000 registered Democrat voters between February 1 and shortly after Haley took office in February 2025, a drop of 6.34%. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me, actually. I wonder what the GOP numbers are. And while you're at it, just to point out, I believe there is a ballot question pending, which would obliterate political parties in Massachusetts and effectively make all the primaries completely open. And I'm pretty sure that would obliterate the Mass GOP. Not that they're doing a pretty good job obliterating themselves as it is. But I think one of the reasons why the left is pushing that is because they see a lot of drop in their own party enrollment, if I had to guess. Mary says that getting rid of party primaries is crazy. Agreed. Yeah, I think that's a bad idea. Mary also adds, calling it a farm would give the illusion that it's productive. Great turn of a phrase, Mary. Good job. No doubt. Good job. All right. So while we're at it, since we're talking about clean energy policy, federal tax credits and experts worry mass climate goals. Oh no, we might not make our climate goals. Oh no. Massachusetts needs 900,000 electric vehicles by the end of the decade, which, if my math proves me right, is about 4.5 years. We only have 140,000. The pace of EV adoption has to increase for the state to meet its goal. Why don't people want electric vehicles? Because they suck. Because you can't depend upon them. They're not a better mousetrap. The only reason people are buying from this article admits that the only reason they're buying them is because they come with this massive tax credit. which is like $7,500. But don't you worry, Massachusetts is going to keep our tax credit, which is $3,500 for these stupid vehicles. And there's a subsidy if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, you get $6,500. And if you're a low-income household, you get an extra $1,500. So the feds are getting rid of the tax credit for EV purchase, but don't worry, we're keeping ours. Now, because of the Charlie Kirk thing, a lot of other stories, which usually would have bubbled up, like, for instance, that story I was covering about the rest stop bidding process that appears to be corrupt, that will come back probably next week. I think there's a court hearing on Wednesday. But another thing that happened in clean energy that didn't get as much attention maybe as it should have is Trump administration moves to revoke South Coast wind permit. So thank you again, President Trump. There's been a lot of movement on the offshore wind front. Like, you could run a whole podcast just with offshore wind news. There's a boatload of it for sure. Another little tidbit that you may have not noticed yesterday was that our unemployment rate here in Massachusetts remains elevated. This is the third month in a row at 4.8%, and we're now a half a point above the national average. And as you can see, during last year, it was a steady run up, and now we're just stalled, not making any progress downward. We've leveled off at 4.8%, a full half point above the national average. And I've gotten any number of complaints, no science behind it anecdotally, about the call center, which they have reduced hours in the call center for unemployment to Monday through Thursday. And Friday, they're supposed to be working on claims. And they might call you on Friday, but they're not doing any inbound calls on Friday. And the reason why is because they got a lot more claims, because there's a lot more people that are unemployed. Just another perfect example of more is really bad policy. Here is Brad Marchand, the hockey player. Of course, by the way, hockey starts in 3 weeks, right? October 7th, right? Very excited about hockey season this year. Here's Brad explaining, he's not a politician, right? He's a hockey player. So it's kind of rambling, but he's basically saying that the tax policy here in Massachusetts and other high tax states puts our teams at a competitive disadvantage to playing like in Florida, where like Brad plays. Listen,
on the no tax thing, was that prevalent in your negotiations? And do you think that is as big of a deal as like some people like to make it seem? But just to hear you mention it.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely a benefit when you look at the teams that you want to play for. They're great organizations now. They're great contending teams. And
in other words, what he's saying is that like some of those Southern teams weren't, but now they really are good teams, so that you might want to think about going there.
They're the best places to live.
Florida, nice weather, except in the summer.
And then, the non-tax on top of it, it's an opportunity for teams. Look at, okay, you can pay some of the best players in the game a couple $1 million less, and they still net more money than, the highest tax state teams. And
whoa. All right, just to understand what he just said, a Florida team can can pay the player, let's just say $5 million, and that player will net out more money than a Massachusetts team that might pay that player $7 million. I'm just making up numbers, but you get the idea. Even though the salary number is less, you net out with more because of this tax structure in Florida.
They're able to spread that around and bring more players in. So,
and then the team can spend that extra $2 million to recruit players.
Can't say it's not a benefit. It absolutely is.
Can't say it's not a benefit. It absolutely is. So if the Bruins suck this year, you know who to blame. which I am not following the Bruins as much as I should be right now. And so I hope they don't suck. But definitely the performance on the ice and on the court and on the football field, all of that is definitely impacted by Maura's tax policy. Absolutely 100%. By the way, I was at the State House, and this is what Buck was talking about. Spent all day in Boston on Thursday for the Kyle Wayne Culotta press conference. And here's a picture here. I took a similar picture and posted it up. Mr. Culotta, from what I understand, was traveling here in Massachusetts, and he was from Arizona, and he got stopped, some type of traffic violation. And during that time, it was discovered he had firearms in his vehicle, and he was arrested, and he was declared dangerous. And now his family, and this is his fiance here, who I was happy enough to meet, he's been declared dangerous and in jail now for almost 3 months. And now they're pushing to have the state's highest court free Mr. Culotta, who's a veteran. And it doesn't appear, now that I've met his family doesn't, there's no situation here where they have a justifiable cause for calling him dangerous. His wife, or fiance, I should say, is eager to have him out. It's been a whirlwind for them. These are not wealthy people, which she admitted during the press conference. And there's apparently no justification for holding him for this long, for exercising his First Amendment rights. As the folks from Goal and otherwise pointed out, if he was arrested just a couple of miles north in New Hampshire, he would have been fine. But here in Massachusetts, he's in jail for 90 days. Understand the duality of, like, the potential school shooter in Falmouth. He got $2,500 bail. How about the Trenway Renargua guy, however you say that, criminal who the state police had in their custody twice over the summertime, twice. And then he got out again, and the feds had to basically breach his house the other day, right? And then, but instead, they're keeping this guy in jail for 90 days. Double standard. Why? Because he has a gun. More corruption. Boston police sergeant indicted raping boy. Oh, God. I'm not going to get into the details of this other than to say this is disgusting and shame. Shame. We talked about shame the other day, and it's been a big topic, and as we kind of referred to it, but by Dave Portnoy's post earlier, shame is good. I'm reminded, the famous greed is good. Shame is good. And when society uses it appropriately, shame is a big thing. And I don't know anything about Japan, but I know that shame is, they use a lot of shame in Japan. It's a self-policing thing. And some people have responded to me that we don't use shame enough. We should have more shame. There might be some truth to that, but shame is good. And shame on this guy, horrific. All right, innocent until proven guilty, all of that, allegedly, all of those things. Absolutely disgusting. The kid was 14 years old. They met on Grindr. More shame. Massachusetts correction officer accused of having sex with inmate. I can't even do these stories. Let's talk about the invasion, which continues. Let's see. Somebody has another comment. Thank you very much, Diane. Thank you. Very kind of you. Happy Saturday to you. Very nice. Thank you. So thank you, Boston Bostonians against Mayor Wu. for posting this video. I don't know where she or how they got this video, but here is ICE agents apparently out some restaurant in Mount Pleasant. I think that's where this is. Trying to get some lunch at a local restaurant, and they're hassled. They're hassled. Take a listen.
That's not a weird thing. I talk to my neighbors all the time. That's so strange. We heard some news about some sex pests around here, so I was just wondering where you guys live.
Who comes up to somebody eating lunch and asking them, where do you live? Is this not a free society where you can go to lunch? If you're just minding your own business, 3 people minding their own business, you don't have to answer any questions from some Karen that comes up to your table. Where do you live? None of your fucking business.
You live in Mount Pleasant? What street? What block?
Probably a night.
Some people felt uncomfortable. Do you guys order from here? Or are you guys just sitting? You won't say your name? You coward.
Why would I say my name to some lunatic Karen when I'm just trying to have lunch?
I see 3 little bitches. What's your name? Where do you live? If you live in Mount Pleasant, you can tell me what block. We're a very friendly neighborhood here.
It doesn't seem like you're a very friendly neighborhood. It doesn't seem like you're a very friendly neighborhood. No, not at all. Not at all. But that's where, and I'm just gonna say that was probably a middle-aged white woman based upon the accent that I hear in my ear. But probably Karen is a middle-aged white woman. She's triggered that ICE might want to have lunch, right? Complete assholes. Remind me, Mount Pleasant. Where is that? Where I can't picture that. What neighborhood is that? Somebody in the comments if you remember. So here is ICE doing their job, arresting an illegal immigrant who's been here for 10 years illegally. And here is your pathetic Boston media covering the story. The sobbing wife who probably gave her, she's a lawyer, and the wife, I think, is an American citizen, and she probably gave her husband some really bad advice, and she's probably to blame for the rough treatment that he was on the receiving end because he did not cooperate with ICE when they tried to arrest him. Look at all of the lies that the media will not challenge when they report this story. Oh, what? Here it is. Hold on.
Woman says her husband was arrested by ICE agents while driving to work, and now she's calling for his release. Leslie Gonzalez says her husband was in the process of getting his legal status, but as WBZ...
All right, so right off the bat, Channel 4 admits he's illegal. He's in the process, to use my Howie Carr voice, right? He's in the process of getting legal status. That means he does not have it. He doesn't have his legal status. That means he's here illegally. Right off the bat, Channel 4 admitting it.
Paul Burton reports tonight that all came to a halt early Wednesday morning.
Just asking you to have compassion.
Just have compassion.
For my husband, I'm asking you to keep him safe.
Leslie Pereira Gonzalez breaks down as she describes the horrifying moments. She says ICE agents detained her.
Didn't have to be horrifying because you could have self-deported yourself anytime in the last 10 years. Or you could have not come here to begin with.
Her husband, Hernan Escobar, in Malden on Wednesday.
I lived in constant fear that if my phone rings, something bad is happening.
Which is exactly what happened. Leslie says she was on the...
One way to solve this is don't marry an illegal immigrant.
Phone with her husband when ICE agents surrounded his white pickup truck. Video of Escobar's detainment shows a struggle as agents tried to pull him out of the truck window.
And I heard him.
As agents tried to pull him out of the truck window. Why would they have to do that? Why would they have to pull him out of the truck window? Was his door broken? No, this woman is a lawyer, by the way, the wife is a lawyer, from what I understand. She probably told him not to cooperate. I'm just guessing. So why would they have to pull him out of the window? And the reason is because he didn't roll down the window and he didn't cooperate. All he had to do was open the door. When the policeman comes up to your window and says you need to step out of the vehicle, you are getting out of the vehicle. One way or the other, you will be extracted from the vehicle. Gonna be the easy way or the hard way, right?
Shatter the window. I heard him say, "Ow, you're hurting me."
The 31-year-old is now being held in a detention center in Plymouth. Leslie says Escobar.
Oh, right up the street, right up at exit 5, or what used to be called exit 5 until Charlie Baker decided to change the numbers. Yeah, maybe I'll go visit him.
Came to the U.S. from El Salvador 10 years ago for a better life and to escape the gang violence taking place there. He works as a roofer for a large construction company in Boston.
Whoa. How about we have some sympathy for the people whose wages this guy is stealing? We want to have some sympathy. He works as a roofer. Everybody on his team is getting paid less because he is here adding to the labor pool. He is stealing his co-workers' wages. How about having some sympathy for the legal people and the citizens that are working and he's stealing their wage? This guy's a wage thief. 10 years in our country, stealing wages, depressing the wages of citizens and anyone else here that's here legally. This guy's depressing their wages. That's probably the biggest cost. I mean, I know we spent billions on the Keneally hotels, but depressed wages is probably the biggest cost.
Was on his way to work when he was detained.
My husband is a gentle soul.
ICE released a statement saying, in part, the officers took appropriate action and followed their training to use the minimum amount of force necessary to resolve the situation in a manner that ensured the success of the operation and prioritized the safety of the public and our officers. Escobar's attorney says he has pending petition to become a permanent U.S. resident.
He has a pending petition. Well, there's a difference between a pending petition and an actual petition, an actual legal. You don't have. It's an admission. By the way, he got his window shattered. Tough luck, right? How about you open the door when the cops come? How about you open the door when the cops come?
This violent shove last week aboard an MBTA bus is now drawing the attention of the U.S. Transportation Secretary, who's demanding immediate.
They caught the lady, by the way. This is kind of like a dual story. They caught the lady who pushed the elderly woman. They've arrested her. And now Secretary Duffy is questioning the safety of the MBTA.
Safety changes on the system. In a letter, Sean Duffy targets Boston and Chicago, saying that the cities seem intent on putting the needs of criminals first, saying Chicago and Boston are on notice to take actions that enhance safety and reduce the crime affecting their riders and transit workers or risk federal support.
I would say that the system is safe. These are rare occurrences. Having said that, one occurrence is too much.
Before the letter from the federal government, T General Manager Phil Ng appeared on OTR saying the T is focused on safety. Transit police arrested the suspect accused of pushing the woman off the bus after receiving help from the public who identified. The Transportation Secretary also wants reports on how the T is combating fare evasion and how it's keeping the system clean.
The only way you will choose to use transit is if you know it is safe. It doesn't matter how reliable it is. It doesn't matter how frequent it is. Safety is going to be the number one reason that people will use it.
Do you think the MBTA is safe? I ride a T on a semi-regular basis, and the part that I feel the least safe about is going through South Station, right? I know it's under construction, so it makes it like a little less like, how do I want to say this? Anything under construction is not as nice, right? But the police, the transit police have a little desk there. But I would say that outside of the building, the attics that used to shoot up on Atlantic Avenue, these seem to have scattered because the construction has taken over that little stretch of on Atlantic Avenue there. So that's been a good thing. But there's a lot of sketchy people around the train station. And that I know, across all the country, train stations tend to attract sketchy people. But we could do better. Certainly, if you have to use the men's room at the train station, South Station, you want to definitely be mindful of your surroundings. Let's put it this way. I am happy to report, if some of you might not be aware, that they are redoing the food vending area over by where Regina is. And in fact, Regina has actually moved locations. They kept the ovens, which is, I asked them. They kept the ovens and they moved them, and they're redoing that whole area, which probably has not been redesigned since maybe like the 80s. It's in this disgusting pastels, and there's this veranda or terrace area, which is super sketchy. Don't ever go up there. But yeah, the MBTA could be a lot safer. The city of Boston could be a lot safer. Here's the one thing, Mayor Wu, right? When you stop enforcing the law, your crime data looks as if your city is safe. And then you can run around and lie to people and say it's the safest city in America. But the thing is, when you stop arresting people, your arrest data goes down and it looks like it's safer on paper, but in real life, it's not. All right, it is 9 a.m. You can go join Jessica Machado over at the Jessica Machado Show. We're done for today. This was not coordinated. I didn't even know. But my hour is up, and you can go join Jessica Machado on her feed. Have a great Saturday. I hope that you can attend virtually or in person the Charlie Kirk thing. I will be up in New Hampshire at NASCAR tomorrow. I'll send you some pictures. Have a great weekend. God bless you, and God bless our country. Have a great night. Bye-bye, or day. Bye-bye.